Hello and welcome to the channel. I am the Wandering Griot, and I'm here to share with you the wonderful and vibrant stories of the African continent and those inspired by African culture and mythology. Black Leopard Red Wolf is the first book in what is called the Dark Stars Trilogy, written by Jamaican-born author Marlon James. The word trilogy in this sense is a little misleading. In an ordinary trilogy, the story progresses chronologically, from the point where the previous book had ended. That is not the case with the Dark Stars trilogy. These books instead take a Rashomon style approach to its storytelling. All three books in the series, in part, follow the same sequence of events, with each book being told from the point of view of a different character. Now, you might be thinking that if all three books are just different accounts of the same story, doesn't that make all the books just the same? But no, that couldn't be further from the truth. Each book in the series is told from the perspective of a different character, which leads the telling of the story to change dramatically from book to book. Marlon James has made this decision to tell a story in this way in order to reflect the way stories vary depending on narrator within African oral tradition. What makes this trilogy even more interesting and unique is that even though Black Leopard Red Wolf was the first book published, followed by Moon Witch Spider King, there is no particular order in which you need to read this series. I mean, for example, there are people who first started this series with the second published book, Moon Witch Spider King. And although the third book in the series, which I believe will be titled The Boy and the Dark Star, has yet to be published, it would be very possible to start reading the series from the third published book. This is because, well, they're all just different perspectives on the same set of events. This is because even though all three books will be in conversation with each other, it is not required to read one in order to read the other. Now, of course, all that being said, this video here will be focusing specifically on the first published book, Black Leopard Red Wolf. Black Leopard Red Wolf is an account of the story's events from the point of view of a character known only as Tracker. When the book begins, Tracker is being held prisoner for the murder of a boy whose identity is yet to be revealed. While being held captive, a government official, who remains nameless, interviews Tracker in order to gain details about the boy's murder. Tracker, with nothing better to do, decides to humor the official and tell him the story about how he had set out to find the boy alongside a group of other mercenaries. However, before beginning his tale, Tracker warns the official that the story he is about to tell is true from his perspective, even if others may disagree. He also tells him that, although he has agreed to give a story, he is under no obligation to tell him the parts of it he does not wish to. Tracker makes his intentions here clear with the phrase, Biojuri enu opomo, which means, not everything the eyes see should be spoken by the mouth. And so, Tracker begins his testimony by telling two stories from his life. One in which he tracks down the wife of a wealthy merchant. It is here where Tracker reveals that, though his eyes are ordinary, it has been said that he has a nose. What this means is that the Tracker possesses a superhuman sense of smell, and he is capable of tracking people by smell wherever they are in the world. In the second story, he tells the official the circumstances under which he left his father's house. His father, according to him, was an abusive drunk. One night, when Tracker's father came home, he and Tracker got into a fight. During this fight, Tracker either kills him or cripples him. He does not reveal which of these endings are true. In another story, Tracker tells of his journey to the land of those who die by drowning. He goes there in order to find a king on behalf of his queen. It is in this underworld where Tracker first encounters a group of night demons called Omoluzu, and they walk on the roof as a man will on the ground. After leaving his father's house, Tracker goes to his father's homeland, a place called Ku. It is some years later that Tracker becomes a mercenary. While working as such, he is recruited by an old flame, a shapeshifter, called Leopard. It is Leopard who introduces Tracker to the rest of the mercenaries searching for the boy, who had been missing for 3 years. He later finds out that they are not the only group looking for this boy. This other group includes the king's own mysterious advisor, the Aesi. While searching for the boy, they found out that he is being held by a group of vampires who uses the boy as bait to get innocent people to open their doors so they can then enter the house and murder them. Tracker's journey takes it all across the North and South Kingdoms, and even through a mysterious mystical forest called the Darklands. After successfully tracking down the vampires, Tracker and the rest of the mercenaries save the boy. It is after this that Tracker decides to retire and goes to live with his lover, a warrior from a foreign land. Alongside the warrior Mosi, Tracker also lives with children who he adopted. While still in retirement, one day, Leopard finds Tracker and convinces him to go on one more adventure with him. And Tracker is again forced to search for the boy that he had once saved. This time, however, when he finds the boy is killed before Tracker can get to him. The world of Black Leopard Red Wolf is a fascinating one. As told through the eyes of Tracker, the world comes across as both bleak, realistic, dangerous, but at the same time mystical and enchanting with so many esoteric qualities. In order to craft this world, Marlon James draws upon both the history and mythology from all over the African continent. The majority of the story takes place in what is called the South and North Kingdoms, respectively. Both of these kingdoms likely take their inspiration from the real-life Ethiopian Empire, otherwise known as the Empire of Abyssinia. However, there are also influences from other African cultures as well. The city of Kongor, for example, is likely loosely inspired by the Ashanti Empire. Speaking of the Ashanti, the Akan culture is also on display here, due in part to Marlon James's utilization of the vampires Asan Bosam and Sasa Bonsam. In fact, all of the vampires in the story are inspired by vampires from African folklore, rather than the usual European-style vampires. These vampires also include the lightning bird Ipundulu and the Adzi, a vampire composed of a swarm of stinging wasps and flies. The magic in the story also takes its inspiration from African spiritual beliefs. There's a brief mention of Ashe, which is a Yoruba concept and is akin to Chi or chakra from Eastern spiritual beliefs. Sangomas also play a major role within the story, which is a concept from Southern African spiritual beliefs and practices. It is here with the magic that Marlon James also introduces his own concepts, such as the 10 and 9 doors, which are a set of portals that the vampires as well as Tracker's group utilizes. Marlon James has an uncanny ability to weave a greater story by using a myriad of smaller ones. In his own words, he wanted the reader to be adrift in story, and you will be. The best possible way to experience this story is to surrender to it. Let go of preconceived notions of what storytelling is, and allow yourself to learn a non-Western form of storytelling. This is without a doubt a difficult story to get through on first read, but it's definitely one that is worth a second, third, or if you're like me, a sixth read. But that is the exciting thing about the story. It has familiar concepts presented in a radically different way, at least radically different to what Western audiences are used to. Regardless, however you choose to experience this story, it is definitely one that is worth experiencing. And this is one read that you do not want to miss out on. I'd like to thank you all for sharing your time with me today. If you like what I do here, please like, comment, subscribe. Until the next time, for more stories from content.